Welcome again to Trove News, and I've got my very good friend here, Dr. Colin Percival.
What a pleasure it is to be here today, Mike.
It's a pleasure to have you.
What are we going to talk about?
Well, today, Colin, we're talking about this. It's Cragganmore. It's a 12-year-old whiskey. It's a Speyside single malt. It comes from Cragganmore Distillery, which is in Dalek in Banffshire.
Mike, I think you've got the wrong agenda. We're not talking about the whiskey. We're going to talk about the Cragganmore gas discovery, which sits west of Shetland. But keep that. We can do something with that later.
Oh, now you tell me, honestly. I wish we do a bit more preparation for these things. Never mind. So we're going to be talking about oil and gas. Oh.
Yeah, today we're mainly going to be talking about gas. And this slide here just shows you a couple of plots. On the top right, there's a little pie chart showing you UK primary energy demand and where that is met or how that is met. And you can see that 76% of our energy demand is provided by oil and gas. And that's been relatively constant over the last 4 or 5 years, running around 75%. So it's a big chunk of our energy demand supplied by oil and gas. And then the plot in the bottom left there shows you essentially UK production, which is the dark wedge towards the bottom left-hand corner, with no new investment, and a small sort of mauve wedge, which is new UK fields with some investment. But the shaded area basically shows you the amount of imports that we're going to get. There are 2 dotted lines there in green. The lower one is the Climate Change Committee's view of demand destruction, and the upper one is Bayes' working assumption about demand.
The Bayes, that stands for, remind me again, it's some Bureau of Economic...
Energy and Industrial Strategy. We got there. Yeah.
Why have a 3-letter acronym when a 4-letter acronym will do? So yes, so okay, so they're the government department in charge of energy policy, I guess. Yeah.
So essentially you can see from that most of our demand is going to be supplied by imports.
Okay.
And UK production out to 2050 will probably only supply less than 50% overall during that period of that demand. So we're going to be importing a lot of oil and gas.
Okay, and then here you're looking at how much carbon some of these gas and oil sources, how much they contribute to emissions and pollution.
Yeah, so you've got 2 charts there. In red, you've got gas. In green, you've got oil. And what they're showing is the kilograms of CO2 equivalent per barrel of oil equivalent. So in terms of US LNG, which is the bar on the far left, you can see it has 109 kilograms.
So Colin, that LNG, that's that liquefied natural gas. That's basically comes in tankers from the US and comes into the UK. And we're using a lot of it now, and it looks like the demand is just going to go up and up.
It's been a huge growth area, particularly for the US, which has gone from being 0 exports of LNG to be the biggest exporter of LNG on the planet in under a decade. But what you can see, obviously, that process of liquefying the gas and then transporting it and regasifying it results in a lot of carbon emissions.
It has to be transported at very, very low temperatures, and some of it literally boils off, doesn't it? And they do use it in the engines to keep the ships going. But it's not an efficient process.
No. Well, what you can see on that plot there is in red are the UK piped gas and new UK gas fields, so you can see that there are very low emissions, and particularly the new UK gas can be lower emissions than Norway piped gas. Norway is quite low emissions because most of its offshore infrastructure is electrified, and if we do that in the UK on new fields, we can get lower emissions than Norway. And the same story for oil, really. You can see the import average 31, whereas new UK oil can be down at 12, and electrified west of Shetlands can be half that at 6. And we'll come on to this, but when you look at electrified gas west of Shetlands, it will be extremely low emissions.
Cool. Okay. Now then, the west of Shetland's gas infrastructure. I recognise the Shetland Islands there and a couple of pipelines. What's going on?
Well, yeah, to the bottom right there, you see the Shetland Islands, and essentially there are two gas systems that feed into the Shetland Islands. One labelled up as WASPs, which is the West of Shetland's pipeline system, which was only really developed to evacuate the associated gas from the oil fields in Schiehallion and Foynhaven.
And what's the other one called?
That's the Lag-and-Tormore.
Oh, right, yeah.
So 4 fields feed into a new gas plant. I say new gas plant. It's one of the newest pieces of gas infrastructure in the UK. So the Shetland Gas Plant sits at the back of a Sullom Voe terminal but isn't connected to it. So the two systems are not connected on the Shetland Islands.
Okay.
That will change. There's a crossover project putting a pipeline between those two systems. So gas from Lag-and-Tormore and Edredow and Glenlivet feeds into the Shetland Gas Plant. Then it goes down the surge gas line system to St Fergus.
Cool. And then up in the north there, you're showing Cragganmore. Is that a cue then to open up and have a tasting?
Yes, so we're going to talk about Cragganmore, not the whisky, but the gas discovery, which sits in a licence north of the Shetland Islands. There will be some other gas going through the existing infrastructure, shown on there by the dash lines. Rosebank, an oil development, will have some gas that will go into the WASP system, and Victory, which is a gas field, will go into the Lag-and-Tormore system. But today we'll talk about Cragganmore.
Super. That's a good scene setter there.
Looking at the Shetland Gas Plant and its throughput, it has a capacity of 500 million cubic feet per day. So those 4 fields, Lag-and-Tormore, Glenlivet and Edredow, are that blue wedge at the bottom of that plot. As you can see, only filling about a third of the capacity of the Shetland Gas Plant. Victory is due to come on stream later this year, which is the red wedge. Again, we'll only take it up to about a third full. There's a few other discoveries, Tornado and Glendronach in the green and Tornado in the sort of mauvey colour. But that Shetland Gas Plant has a lot of ullage in it.
Yes, it is.
Even if we develop the discoveries in the north, which are the northern gas hub, so Cragganmore, and the adjacent discoveries at Tobermory and Bunnahabhain, we will only fill that plant sort of momentarily. So there's a lot of ullage west of Shetland in terms of gas infrastructure, and there's a lot of prospectivity that could fill that, and it could all be done with very, very low emissions. There's a new wind farm on Shetland, the Viking Wind Farm, and Shetland now has a grid connection, and everything would be developed as a subsea tieback to the Shetland Gas Plant. So it'd be electrified from onshore.
So all this infrastructure that's been built, these pipelines that have brought the gas in from Lag-and-Tormore and Edredow and Glenlivet, that's all going to be pretty much finished by the looks of things here, 2029, unless we can make use of it and keep this gas plant running. So it's really very, very low incremental cost to the environment because everything's there. We just need to keep it going for longer.
The UK is short of gas. Northwest Europe is short of gas. We have a resource, and at the moment we're not utilising it. This is something that we should be doing for energy security reasons and also cost to our consumers in the UK.
Cragganmore there, how big is it?
Well, Cragganmore is almost 700 BCF recoverable.
700 billion cubic feet.
Yeah.
That's got to make it probably one of the biggest undeveloped gas fields in Northwest Europe.
It's the biggest in the UK, and it's one of, if not the biggest undeveloped gas discovery in Northwest Europe.
So here we've got all these issues with, we don't want to, or we won't import gas from the east, from Russia. And here in the West, we've got this fantastic opportunity. And, well, let's find out more about Cragganmore.
So this is a map of the licence, P2628.
Hey, hang on a minute. Who's this Athena Exploration? What's that all about?
That's the operator of this, a company I work for.
Oh, right, okay.
We are 50-50 in this with Triangle Energy, our Australian partner.
Okay, yeah.
We took the licence out about 18 months ago. We've got about another 2.5 years on this licence, which is shown in yellow here. And as you can see, there are 3 existing wells on the licence. 17.1, which goes into that brown blob, which is a mud diapier. And then 17.3, which was a Cragganmore discovery well. And 17.4, which was a Cragganmore appraisal well.
And for those who are wondering, this is 17.2 down here, which was drilled for something else. And
17.2 drilled for a shallower prospect and actually found a 2-metre gas-bearing sand in a reservoir higher than the one that we're looking at Cragganmore, so stratigraphically higher.
Yeah, okay.
But it shows you that gas gets up the system, up stratigraphically and up dip.
The blob with the 2 well penetrations in it, the number 3 and number 4 well, that's the outline of the Cragganmore.
It is. So yeah, that
Accumulation.
red outline is the outline of the Cragganmore accumulation as we see it at the present day.
Okay.
And both of those wells had full gas columns. So 17.3, it's got 55 metres of gas-bearing sand, and 17.4 has 71 metres of gas-bearing sand with no contact penetrated. And tested at rates, good quality gas, tested at rates of up to about 6 million cubic feet per day.
So that's a map, and here's a seismic line. Now, I don't really understand this seismic, never have, but I've kept that quiet over all my career. But what's going on here, Colin?
Well, yeah, this is a seismic line running through those 2 wells, and what we're showing you here is a near-stack data set. So that's the shallow, small angles of reflection from the reservoir. And on this, red is soft, black is hard. So what you can see is a series of very bright events towards the bottom of that section, which are igneous intrusions. However, the Cragganmore reservoir is where that arrow points to, and there is very little reflectivity. And that's the thing to note on this near stack, there is very little reflectivity at the Cragganmore reservoir.
So these are the volcanics giving these very, very bright amplitudes, and there's no amplitude here at
no, not
within
on
the reservoir.
Near stack data set, there is no amplitude. However, if we go to the ultra far data set, you can see things change completely.
Oh wow.
Suddenly you see a very soft event at the Cragganmore reservoir.
Yeah.
And that is due to the presence of gas in the Cragganmore reservoir.
So it's a direct hydrocarbon indicator.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And what you can see is that, it disappears up dip,
Yep.
and it disappears down dip.
Yeah.
Whereas if you looked at go back to the near stack, there's no obvious trapping geometry there at all. Everything just dips up towards the southeast.
That's on the right of this.
On the right-hand side.
Okay. Of course, we've got 2 well penetrations, so we know absolutely what's at this location and what's causing these seismic events. And you've mapped it.
Yeah, so this is a map showing the absolute maximum amplitude extracted from that ultra-far data set, and the yellow area is essentially the outline of the Cragganmore gas discovery. Again, you can see the 2 wells in the discovery there, and the 1 well, 17.1, which was drilled into the mud diapir, and also the 2 well, which was drilled in an area of no reservoir.
Okay.
So again, that's the ultra-far amplitude response in plan view, showing the outline of the discovery, which is roughly 47 square kilometres. What you'll also notice is in the very north area, there's a slightly dimmer, patchier area of yellows up there, which is a prospect that we map at the same stratigraphic interval.
Which looks very interesting if this is proven gas here.
Yeah.
What's causing this? Probably more of the same.
Well, we'll talk about the prospectivity. We won't go into it in great detail today.
Sure.
Essentially, all the prospects show the same geophysical characteristics as the Cragganmore gas discovery. Talking of which, what we've done is look at those attributes in a bit more detail. So here you will see a polygon marked as a T30 Vaila mudstone polygon. So we're going to look at the properties of that volume there. And then there's some smaller polygons just at the Cragganmore reservoir interval.
Okay.
What we're plotting here is an intercept against gradient cross plot for those polygons that we've just shown you on the previous slide. And on the top right is essentially the AVO class we would expect in certain areas. And what you can see is the mudstone, that brown cloud in the middle there, plots where the background occurs, and generally our points plot less than 0 intercept, so they're in this bottom left-hand area, which is either a class 3 or a class 2 AVO response. This is what you'd expect. Background running through essentially zero intercept, and that's what we've got here. And anything that plots off from that background is either a class 3 or a class 2 AVO response. If it plots towards the northwest, it's class 4, but most of our points are sitting down here. And we know it's generally a class 2 to class 3 because going back to the section, a class 2 AVO response is essentially no reflectivity on the nears and a soft response on the fars, and that's exactly what we see. Occasionally we see a slight soft response on the nears, but with a soft response on the fars, that's a class 3 response. So that fits exactly.
This is what's known as seismic malarkey, isn't it? I mean, an
AVO.
Yes,
malarkey. Yeah, we like a lot of malarkey.
It's an AVO, an amplitude versus offset. So physically, what we're seeing is some of these rays that are going down, are bouncing back up. When they actually intercept an amplitude, which is it's caused by, in this case, gas, it has a very different response, a brighter response than the general background or a sand that doesn't have gas in it.
Yeah, just going back quickly. I mean, obviously on the near stack here, you really can't see the reservoir.
No, you can't, no.
You can't see the reservoir, whether it's water bearing, which it will be down dip, or gas bearing.
And what's happening up dip?
The reservoir's pinching up. You can't tell that from that section.
Yeah, okay.
There's nothing there that tells you that there is a reservoir there or it's pinching out up dip.
Yeah, okay.
When you go to the ultrafars, suddenly you see a strong soft response, which is that topmost red there, which the two wells have penetrated, which disappears up dip due to pinch out.
Yeah.
You have to have a trap because it's gas bearing, proven by those two wells, and it eventually disappears down dip because it dips beneath the gas water contact.
Well, that's good. We've seen the map. We've looked at the difference between them, and we're back to
this, which really just shows you the overall prospectivity on the block again. Cragganmore's outlined. It's got the two wells in it, but there are a series of blobs or polygons highlighted there, which are prospects mostly at the same stratigraphic level or a very similar stratigraphic level.
Okay.
These are all Palaeocene, and these all show the same geophysical attributes as the Cragganmore gas discovery.
Good.
They're all stratigraphic traps, same as Cragganmore. They all show you a class 2 to class 3 AVO response, and everything tells us you only see that when you've got gas-bearing reservoir.
So if Cragganmore's got the best part of 700 billion cubic feet of gas resource in it, these others will push it well over 1 trillion cubic feet, 1 TCF of gas.
Yeah, a couple of TCF, unrisked. So this shows you the overall portfolio in this licence. Cragganmore, shown at the top there, a P50 resource of 683 BCF, but cumulatively we've got almost 2.2 TCF recoverable on this block unrisked. And most of the prospectivity is fairly low risk. So everything from the geophysics tells you it's gas bearing. The only significant risks really are around reservoir quality, which is yet to be proven in some of the prospects, and some are deeper. We've found that there's a depth of burial relationship, not surprisingly, with porosity and permeability. So the deeper prospects are slightly higher risk.
So in total, if all these were to work, you think over 2 trillion cubic feet of gas could be produced?
Yes, and that's just on this licence.
Gosh.
And from the work that we've done west of Shetland, this is just one of many.
Well, what I like is the fact we're not talking just about, we've got wells that have actually proven this.
Yeah, and one of the reasons for this is that historically, gas west of Shetlands didn't have any value. People chased oil, they found some gas in that process, generally as gas caps on oil accumulations, and it was an issue about how do we get rid of the gas, because there was no gas infrastructure.
Yeah.
So if you've suddenly got a gas cap with 150 BCF, you're going to dispose of it essentially, and that costs you money if you're after an oil accumulation. So it wasn't really until gas infrastructure was put in place, which really happened with the Lag-and-Tormore system in 2016, that gas suddenly became economic west of Shetland. And now, as we know, there's lots of ullage in the infrastructure, and there's lots of prospectivity telling us that it's gas bearing.
This is the 208/17-3. This was the discovery well for Cragganmore, and this is the logs And this is Vaila. What ages? You said it was Palaeocene.
Yes, Palaeocene reservoir. It's same stratigraphic interval as many of the other fields west of Shetland. So Foinaven and Schiehallion, Lag and Tormore are in the same interval. It is slightly older than the main reservoirs in those fields.
Okay.
So it's T20, we call it, rather than T30, which is the main producing horizon in Foinaven and Schiehallion. But they do produce from this reservoir in Foinaven and Schiehallion as well.
Okay.
So here's a discovery well. It's drilled by Dom. There's 55 metres of Vaila Sandstone in the well. It's basically high density turbidites and debris flows. It's gas bearing throughout, so there's no contact in the well. It wasn't tested in this well, and as you can see, the little black
this is the cored info.
Small amount of core, whereas the fore well was virtually fully cored.
Okay, this is going back into our TROVE entry here.
And this is Dom's view of the world, showing you in white the outline of the Cragganmore discovery, which is very similar to what we've got now.
Indeed, yeah, very well. If you recognise this shape here, this lobe here coming all the way around, there's the number 4 well down dip, the number 3 well towards the crest, and it was the 4 well that was the only one that was tested.
Yeah, so that was tested as a maximum rate of just under 6 million cubic feet per day. Good quality gas, no issues in terms of gas quality, in terms of CO2 or anything like that.
Good. Anyway,
CGR of 23 barrels per MCF.
So we've got lots and lots of material that has been put out over the years in TROVE. And if anybody wants that, just send us an email. We'll actually send you this entry so you can have a look at all the material that's been put out on Cragganmore over the years. But
so that is actually the CNOOC version of the outline shown in white, because it postdates 4 well, but it's very similar to our outline. Yeah.
So CNOOC took this over from Dom. Okay.
Yeah. And drilled the 4 well. And one of the interesting things is that virtually all of that white outline is stratigraphic pinch out of the gas bearing reservoir.
And so, why did CNOOC? Why didn't they take this on and try and develop it?
Essentially, they'd run out of time on the licence, so they needed to commit to something seriously. They were a little bit disappointed with the flow rate they achieved from the well, and weren't willing to commit to any significant expenditure in the time frame that they had available.
And you guys did very well to pick this up in which licensing round was that? The 33rd, was it?
Yeah.
33rd, yeah. Nice opportunity. So if anybody wants this, get in touch. But if people want to, you I guess have got a formal data room available for this?
Yes, if anybody's interested, please contact me or Mike, and we can tell you further details about it.
Fantastic. Okay.
And when we're going to start drinking the Cragganmore?
I think you probably know something. There it is, Cragganmore. We actually had to hunt a long way around today to find it.
It may have been difficult finding, but it was worth finding it, Cragganmore.
But very grateful to the whisky shop at the top end of Union Street in Aberdeen, who didn't have it, but told us where we would get a bottle. And sure enough, that's where we found it. So thanks, guys. And Colin, I wish you well. This looks amazing. I mean, to have an opportunity that's drilled, is appraised, we know the size of it. There's infrastructure there with ullage. It all fits perfectly. We can have some of the lowest gas emissions. This is the sort of thing that the UK government should be absolutely 100% behind.
Absolutely. What's not to like about it? It's got everything going for it.
Crazy. It should be moving. It really should. So, we wish you and Athena and your partner's Triangle every success going forward.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Cheers, mate. Thank you for watching. I hope you found that interesting. Please hit the like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Hope to see you back on our channel before too long. Bye for now.